So, guys, my name is Maria, and I'll just dive right in. So, when a flower doesn't grow, do you change its environment or do you change the flower? Before we answer this question, I'm going to tell you a bit of a story, my story. So, 5 years ago, I was in my second year of uni, and I was doing my first internship. And it was at a small engineering consultancy. It was my first real job, okay? And on my second day of this job, the managing director, so the ultimate boss, came up to me and said, Maria, I want you to draft a little contract for our subbies. So, can you imagine? I'm a 19-year-old girl staring blankly at this old guy who's probably in his early 50s, thinking, I have no clue what a contract even looks like, let alone how to draft one. So I went into a bit of a panic. I didn't want to get this wrong and have the managing director disappointed in me. And I also didn't want to look like someone who didn't know what she was doing. So I thought of this brilliant suggestion, or at least I thought it was brilliant. I went up to him and I asked him ever so politely if I could get someone else to draft the contract whilst I watched over them and learned. I thought this was an ingenious idea. I mean, like, come on, I'm showing initiative that I want to learn, and I'm making sure that someone's going to get it done properly. But no, I was completely wrong. The managing director, I kid you not, didn't even turn around on his chair to face me. He just started yelling. He was like, what do you mean you don't know how to do this? Why would you suggest that someone else does this? You're wasting my time. What am I even paying you for? Can you imagine the horror on my face? This is my second day on my very first job, okay? I was shocked. I was still at uni. I was supposed to still be learning. And this guy expected me to be a pro. I don't know how I got through the rest of that day, let alone the 6-month placement that I had to do. I just know that the more time I spent there, the more I came to realize how this guy operated, okay? I discovered that he had a difficult home life. And as a result, he had a bit of a bad temper. And he'd released that bad temper at work, unfortunately. There were so many different scenarios where I was told off for what you'd think were very basic things. I even distinctly recall this person getting quite aggressive that I feared he'd throw something at me. He never did, but it didn't mean I wasn't scared that he would. Now that, my friends, was my very first experience in the workforce. I was pretty scarred. I thought every place I worked at would be the same. I thought I'd never survive. It dawned on me that maybe I wasn't cut out for this career. I mean, it was already tough enough being one of the very few females in the industry, let alone the young female in the industry. So I had to work even harder to earn people's trust and respect. Now I also felt like I had to develop this thick skin, to survive. To be honest with you guys, I didn't even think it was worth it at one point. Even though this was the career that I wanted to pursue ever since I could remember, I felt like I'd made a bad decision, that I was in way over my head. Who wants a job where the people they work with don't even take them seriously, where their bosses think they're supposed to be pros, they're not allowed to make a mistake? Who wants to work in an industry where every meeting they walk into, they get asked, are you even qualified? Do you have any experience? Do you know what you're doing? And I mean, that was how I was being treated on jobs where I wasn't even on site. On the jobs where I had to go on site inspections and look at subcontractors and contractors and manage their work, oh my goodness, if I had $1 for every time someone asked me, are you lost, sweetie? Do you need an escort? Have you even passed your induction? Let's just say I would have driven here on my private jet. So anyways, you could see where I was starting to have second thoughts about my career. I was being questioned everywhere I went. So what did I do from there? Did I drop out? Did I start studying something else? Did I quit? Interestingly enough, no. I actually started talking to one of my university supervisors, this older woman who I really admired and respected. And I basically started telling her how much I hated my job, how much I was struggling. Pretty much what I was just saying just then. Do you know what she told me? She said, Maria, sometimes you need to have experiences like this to know what you don't want in a job and what you're looking for. You should use this to start searching for the right job. Talk about looking at the bright side, right? So her advice stuck with me. Yes, she was right. Yes, it was a horrible experience. Yes, I felt pressured and underappreciated. And yes, occasionally, sometimes I even felt unsafe on site. Now I know those are the things that I needed to look out for when I was looking for other jobs. You know, I even started reflecting back on the interview process to see if there were any bad signs that I should have picked up on from the start. And there were actually quite a few. Like, for example, the office that I went to go and interview in wasn't really a proper office. It was quite small. And I got like a really uncomfortable vibe from there. The interviewing panel didn't even mention how big the company was during the interview. And they also asked me to complete a really complicated test using very old equipment. And not only that, but they didn't even explain to me what I did wrong after they reviewed my test. So I had no idea. So those are the sort of signs that I should have noticed. So you can imagine, after I finished my 6-month placement at the company, I left. However, it wasn't because I had had enough. It was because I had family circumstances that didn't allow me to work and study at the same time. So ideally, I would have wanted to keep working there until I found another job. Anyways, having taken those lessons with me when I was ready to work again, I took extra care to assess the company that I was interviewing for to make sure it was going to be the right fit for me. So let's go back to my opening question. If a flower doesn't grow, do you change the environment or do you change the flower? I'll be honest with you guys, there's actually no right or wrong answer with this. It really depends on the situation. We all understand that the flower in this question is you, okay? So if your work environment doesn't allow you to grow, do you change yourself or do you change the work environment? You could change yourself, and by that I mean build more resilience, build an adaptation, build that thicker skin, or you could change the job. And that was what I initially did, and it was the easier option. And you'll come to find that if you want to thrive in your life, 20% of the hard work comes from you, and 80% comes from the people you surround yourself with and the environment you put yourself in. You're all very bright, intelligent, and capable young individuals. You can bring about so much positive change, but you can't do that in an environment that constrains you, an environment that doesn't support you or encourage you. Find that environment that works well for you and sink your roots into it. What if you can't find that environment, though? What if you can't find that place that you want to sink your roots in? Who says you can't create that environment for yourself? That's what I did. I'm currently working with a few females at my company to promote gender equality in our workplace. We're trying to convince the managers to invest more in their women. Now, we can't suddenly convince a multi-million-dollar company to allow women to work more flexible hours, to have longer maternity leave, to work more from home, but it doesn't mean we can't start planting the seeds for that now. We're starting off small by trying to empower the women in our company by providing additional support for them. So, for example, we're running little seminars where we talk about building confidence and leadership in the workplace and setting goals. We also try and hold monthly breakfasts where we get together and we just talk about the issues we're facing so that we can provide emotional and intellectual support to each other. Whilst this may seem like a far way off our big goal, we are in fact creating an environment that the girls feel more connected in, okay, to each other and to their company. So yes, there's still a way to go, but remember, we're planting seeds to create an environment that enables us to thrive and succeed happily and healthily. So don't forget, as the flower, if you don't feel like you're growing in your environment, you have 3 options. 1, you could change yourself to be able to grow better in your current environment. So build that adaptation, build the thick skin, grow in your resilience. Or 2, you could find a better environment that works better for you, where the people around you support you more. Or 3, you could be the catalyst in creating the environment that you want to thrive in. And I challenge you all to try and be those who use that 3rd option. Thank you.